All right, let's talk ESG, environmental, social, and governance. Right now, there's a huge shift happening in the UK, one that's designed to bring some serious order to what's been, let's be honest, a pretty chaotic market. So we're going to break down exactly what's changing and, more importantly, why it matters to all of us.
So picture this, right? You're an investor. You're looking at a company. One ESG rating agency tells you, yep, this company is top tier green. But then another one comes along and gives it a pretty mediocre score. How on earth can they both be right? Well, they can't. And that exact problem, this wild west of inconsistency and frankly a lack of transparency, is the very reason a massive regulatory overhaul is on its way.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get into the weeds and unpack the problem. We're going to explore just why the ESG ratings market has turned into this confusing maze for pretty much everyone involved. So it all really comes down to this one simple question, doesn't it? Why is this whole space so confusing? Well, the answer isn't that complicated. It's all about the data and the methodology, or more accurately, the complete lack of any kind of standard for either of them. And this really gets right to the heart of the issue. A huge study found that a whopping 56% of the difference between ESG ratings for the very same company comes from how different providers measure the exact same data. Just think about that. It's not just a matter of different opinions. It's like they're all using completely different rulers to measure the same object. No wonder the scores are all over the map. And listen, it's not just academics and ivory towers pointing this out. The people who actually use these ratings every day, they are seriously concerned. Research from the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, that's the FCA, shows that over half of them are worried about the methodology. And almost the same number are concerned about the total lack of transparency. It's that classic black box problem, right? You put money in, a score comes out, but you have no idea what happened inside. So why is this such a big deal? Well, follow the money. We are talking about a massive, and I mean massive, fast-growing market here. By 2025, global spending on ESG data is expected to hit $2.2 billion, billion with a B. When you have that much capital being steered by these scores, the stakes couldn't be higher. And that, of course, brings us to the solution. Faced with all this confusion and some pretty serious market risk, the UK's main financial watchdog is stepping in to write a brand new rulebook. So what's the big plan? Well, for the very first time, ESG ratings providers in the UK are being brought under the official regulatory umbrella of the Financial Conduct Authority. Basically, they're moving out of the Wild West and into a properly structured, regulated system. And believe me, that is a complete game changer. And the FCA's goal here is crystal clear. Sasha Sadan, who's their director of sustainable finance, put it perfectly. The whole point of all this is to give people who use these ratings greater trust and confidence. I mean, at its core, this is all about rebuilding faith in the market. Okay, so what do these new rules actually look like? Well, the FCA has basically built its whole proposal around 4 key pillars. Let's break them down. All right, here we go. Pillar number 1, much greater transparency. We need to know how these scores are calculated. Number 2, stronger internal governance. Basically, making sure these firms have their own houses in order. Third, and this is a big one, managing conflicts of interest. You can't have a firm rating a company that it's also getting paid millions by for consulting. And finally, number 4, clear ways for stakeholder engagement so people have a voice and a way to handle complaints.
And it's really important to know who these rules are for. They're not just for any old opinion. The scope is very specific. It's going to apply to any ESG rating that's likely to actually influence an investment decision. It's a really targeted approach that focuses the rules right where it counts the most, on the money.
All right, so let's get to the big so what question. What does all of this actually mean for everyone in the real world? Because this isn't just some boring compliance paperwork. It's expected to have a really significant, tangible impact on the entire market.
And yeah, there's a headline number to go with it. The FCA actually estimates that these new rules will create a net benefit of around £500 million over the next decade. That's £500 million just by making the market more efficient and more trustworthy.
But it's not just about the money. The real benefits are about making the entire financial ecosystem healthier. We're talking about boosting investor trust, for one. It's also designed to make greenwashing, when companies pretend to be way more sustainable than they actually are, much, much harder. And ultimately, this is all about cementing the UK's reputation as a top-tier global hub for sustainable finance. Now, what's really interesting here is to see how the UK's plan stacks up globally.
You've got the EU, which is known for being super rigorous, really detailed. Then you've got the US market, which is a lot more fragmented. The UK, well, they seem to be aiming for this pragmatic middle ground. The idea is to be thorough, but also practical, and, not kill business in the process.
Now, this isn't all going to happen tomorrow. There's a very clear roadmap being laid out, which is good because it gives the industry plenty of time to get ready for these big changes.
So here's the timeline we're looking at. The industry gets to weigh in and give feedback until March 2026. That's the consultation period. After that, the final rules should be published by the end of that same year. That gives everyone a decent runway to prepare before the whole new system officially kicks in June 2028.
So what's the bottom line? It's pretty simple. The time to start preparing is now. I know 2028 sounds like it's ages away, but for any ESG ratings provider that wants to operate in the UK, they're going to need to get formally authorized and be fully compliant. The clock is definitely ticking.
And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? Is the UK's balanced, pragmatic approach going to be the blueprint that sets a new global standard? Or will the whole market eventually drift towards the EU's much more rigorous, heavy-duty framework? It's a big question, and I guess only time will tell. Thanks for joining me.